Thank you, Mr. President. As in the previous years, this representation is privileged to once again interpolate the distinguished sponsor of the budget of the Department of Public Works and Highways, if I will be allowed.
Yes, certainly. Most willing. I think we will not have these problems if the gentleman is the next president of the Republic, Mr. President. Baka 100% na yung disbursement and obligation rate, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. As an overview, the total new appropriations of the DPWH for 2022 under the NEP is 685.2 billion pesos. Now, under the House version, the GAB, it increased to 698.1 or 0.168 billion, or a 2% increase from the NEP level. The Senate decreased the appropriations to 665.531 billion, or 32.637 billion less than the GAB version or the House version, and also 19.6 billion less than the NEP. We don't have to be provided the details of the increases and decreases, just a summary of saan nanggaling yung decreases, saan nanggaling yung increases will suffice, Mr. President.
Yes, Your
Just
Honor.
for our
Mr. President,
appreciation.
yes, Your Honor. There is a, let's go, maybe the figures quoted by the gentleman are correct, Mr. President, and that's about the 32.6 billion. Yung 1.2 billion nabawasan po sa capital outlays, yung general gas or general administration and support. Then yung 3.8 billion natanggal po sa routine maintenance of national roads, 250 million sa routine maintenance of national bridges, 18 million sa operation of weighbridge stations, 70 million from the maintenance and operation of floating equipment, 260 million from repair and rehab of public buildings, 250 million from repair and rehab of flood control and drainage, repair and maintenance of road safety, nabawasan po ng 200 million, pre-feasibility, feasibility study project, 6.3 billion ang bawas, payment of right of way, 3.389 billion, payment of contractual obligations, 700 million, PPP Strategic Support Fund, nabawasan po ng 5.6 billion, foreign assisted projects, 10.6 billion po yung bawas. So that is a summary of the decreases in the DPWH. Well, you know, it's fungible, no? The money is fungible. But if I recall correctly, I think DOH budget increased by 40 plus billion, Your Honor. And the SUKS and education budget increased by around 5 to 7 billion, Your Honor. Tapos yung military got, DND, I think, DND AFP got about 1 billion. The judiciary got between 1 to 2 billion. So that's my recollection of the movements, Your Honor.
So the sponsor is implying that the decreases or reduction in the budget of the DPWH went to other agencies
Opo, ganun ho talaga.
para ma-realign
Opo.
for pandemic response. I suppose.
Yung kalakihan ho, ganun po napunta.
Yeah.
Talaga.
Before I proceed to the next series of questions, what is the total available appropriations of the agency in 2022? Because the 685 billion is the new appropriations. What is the total available appropriations?
Kasama yung automatic. Available. Ay, including the carryover, Your Honor,
Yeah.
yung carryover from previous years.
Yes.
Ano siya?
Ako na lang, 686 billion.
22. That means
Mr. President. It's 686.1 billion.
Okay, Your Honor,
Yeah, para
thank you.
lang madali.
Salamat to.
All right. Yeah, in the past years, yung DPWH local program, ito yung item. Dito tayo maghimay, received the largest share under operations sa budget ng DPWH. However, we noted that the appropriations for this program substantially and drastically declined by 89% from 280.6 billion in 2021 to only 31.2 billion in 2022.
Yan yung SIPAG at saka yung lumaki.
And from the perspective of the Mandanas ruling, as well as EO 138, magandang development. This is a welcome development because nabawasan yung local program. Ibig sabihin, baka na-devolve, no? Sa mga local government units. And to me, if it really is the case, then I will not question because, you know, I'm consistently for the devolution of funds to the local government unit, especially if they have the capacity to implement projects, Mr. President. So from 280.6 billion in last year's budget or current year's budget to 31.2 billion. Substantial, ano? 89% yung binaba. But, you know, as we scrutinize further, parang hindi ganun yung nangyari. Because yung allocation for local program, ang laki na nabawas, 89%. So we were expecting that the entire agency budget will decline as well. However, such was not the case sa DPWH kasi nakatback lang ito by 5.8%. So we want to find out kung naging compliant ba sa EO 138 and the Mandanas ruling. Kasi ang laki na nabawas sa local program. Is that really the case, Mr. President?
Well, the gentleman is correct. I think talagang as a whole, hindi naman masyado yung bawas total. Kumbaga nalipat lang siguro sa ibang projects, Your
Under
Honor.
the DPWH din. Ano?
Opo.
So what will happen to the projects under local program in the previous years? Ano na nangyari?
I think yung continuation, DPWH will still do the continuation, Your Honor. But as mentioned earlier, under EO 138, they will no longer undertake programs or projects above 5 million pesos, Your Honor, except for
Below 10.
completion, yung completion
Parang
ng
below
mga
10
lumang.
million yata, dapat LGU na? Is
But
that the-
five ang nasa
five
existing.
ba?
Opo.
Basta 5 or less, LGU na mag-implement.
Opo. Unless it's completion of a previous project, Your Honor.
Dito kasi nakita yung bukol, Mr. President, ano? Under the program. This is a new program, ano? Convergence and Special Support Program. Ito yung nag-bloat, will be bloated under the NEP 2022 by 232.3%. Ito yung increase. So this further increase by 20% under the GAB. Na taasan pa, no? From a mere 206.5 billion to 247.2 billion. So what are the projects or what kind of projects will be funded by this fund, Convergence and Special Support Program?
Ito po, there is rehab of disaster-related infrastructure and other facilities, construction and improvement of access roads leading to the airports, construction of access roads leading to seaports.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I also have a list, ano?
Ay, opo.
Ito lang yung subject ng discussion natin later.
Opo.
So, ang concern ko lang, can we guarantee or can the agency guarantee that this program, yung Convergence and Special Support Program, will not contain any local projects which are covered by LGU Devolved programs? Or is it only a change in the nomenclature of the program?
Answer the question. Can the department guarantee?
Yeah.
Oo. Yes, given the assurance, Your Honor.
Anyway, yeah. Kasi parang ang tingin ko, pinalitan lang ng nomenclature. From local program, the same projects, pero pinalitan ng SIPAG and BIP. No? SIPAG meaning, ano na nga uli yun? Sustainable Infrastructure Projects Alleviating Gaps, SIPAG. And then yung isa, yung BIP. Well, if we examine further, makita natin, ito yung mga programs na dati nasa local program. kung titingnan natin, dapat nasa local program pa rin ngayon. Pero, ang implementing agency or agency is the DPWH, not the local government units. Ano? For example, construction/improvement of access roads leading to declared tourism destinations. This is 16.8 billion pesos. Yung list of projects in the details, ito, karamihan dito, short local roads that are within the jurisdiction of a single LGU. So bakit mag-i-implement pa rin dito? Ba't hindi pa dinevolve? Ba't mag-i-implement pa rin yung national agency, which is the DPWH? When, as the description suggests, nakalagay short local roads. No? Yung leading to tourism destinations. Ano?
Siguro po, pasok po siya dun sa interjurisdictional sapagkat may implication on one or more LGUs. Either that
Interjurisdictional meaning magko-cross from one province to another?
or one town, one municipality to another.
Pero
Your
hindi
Honor.
po eh. Talagang short lang yung mga... That's only the justification.
Siguro
But in
continuing
actual-
daw ho ang sabi
In
daw po
reality, I don't believe Jose Cabral this time, Mr. President. She's just trying to justify. Anyway, ito, concern lang, just for the record,
Opo.
we can laugh about it, but this has to be corrected. If we really intend to comply with the Supreme Court ruling and EO 138, mas maganda na rin na i-comply natin na talagang yung actual na compliance, hindi yung papalitan natin yung nomenclature, the same animal, or dog with the same collar, or different collars, I mean, Pero yung pa rin yung talagang essence because marami. Construction, rehabilitation of water supply, septage and sewerage rainwater collector system. This is amounting to 3.4 billion pesos. Yung location and impact of these projects are generally within the confines of the LGUs. Pero DPWH pa rin under the Convergence, etc., under SIPAG or under BIP. Pero ang talagang intention nito, ito yung mga dating nasa local program din under the previous budget years. Can you ask the Undersecretary Cabral if my statement is correct?
Tama ba yung statement niya? With respect to amounts? It is correct to a certain extent, Your Honor, but she says they had a much stricter criteria this year with the guidelines given by DBM. So the amounts, hindi na sila tumatanggap ng mga maliliit na proposals. Tapos yung criteria daw ho ay mas stricto daw ho sila.
Sige na lang, pero hindi rin totoo yun, Mr. President. Yeah. Anyway, ito SIPAG, Sustainable Infrastructure Project Alleviating Gaps. Access roads and or bridges from the national road leading to major strategic public buildings, facilities, 47.9 billion. Yung details nito, kung titingnan natin, would include mostly local roads and or roads leading to buildings, facilities of local significance and impact. So talagang localized itong project. In fact, in the previous years, talagang under local program ito eh. Nilipat lang natin doon sa Convergence. Well, obvious naman yung reason para ma-justify na DPWH pa rin. Hindi ako tumitingin kay Secretary Mercado kasi wala pa naman siya nung pinrepair ito eh. So,
That's true, Your Honor. That's true.
yeah, okay. So now, my question is, considering that these programs are also among local projects, will you agree that the appropriations that correspond to the budget item should also be devolved to the LGUs? In principle,
Yung projects po?
local
itong mga-
projects eh. So, would you agree with this representation na i-devolve na lang natin? In principle. Hindi naman natin i-insist ito kasi I think it's too late for that.
Yeah, to a certain extent, Your Honor. So it's so we can free up funds for the lesser capacitated LGUs, Your Honor.
Ito pa isa, no? Very noticeable. Di ba dapat yung mga multipurpose buildings, i-double na natin sa LGU kasi barangay hall, o kaya whatever multipurpose building na itatayo sa mga under the jurisdiction of the LGUs. Di ba dapat LGU na lang mag-implement dito sana? Sila rin ang gagamit. After all, after completion, DPWH will, necessarily transfer the same to the local government units. So bakit hawak pa rin ito ng DPWH? Never mind answering because there's no answer.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President, for sparing us that.
Yeah. So it's 5 million or less, not 10 million. Ha?
5.
Di ba pwedeng increase natin ng 10 million? Kaya naman ng LGU siguro yan.
Pwede naman daw ho, sabi
Pwede
ni
siguro,
Secretary Mercado.
Hindi succeeding,
Yeah. Sama ang tingin ni Majority Leader, Mr. President. Mas joke lang. Oh.
Now, at least kindly provide us the number of LGUs, kung meron kayong listahan yung figures that are capable of implementing this kind of infrastructure.
10 million and below, Your Honor. 10 million and below.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. We will furnish, Your Honor.
Yeah. Meron ba kayong
Number of LGUs
means,
capable of implementing 10 million and
do you have the wherewithal to measure the capacity, yung
LGU?
yung mga
Can you
capacitated
measure the capacity of
to implement?
implement it? You can measure the capacity. Yeah, they have criteria before they can authorize an LGU to implement a DPWH project, Your Honor.
You have the
But
criteria.
I don't think this is exactly what you're asking for. You're asking about the measure, the
Yes.
your
List.
Well, this they're saying yes. Your Honor.
Merong criteria. There are criteria. But do you have a list? Do you have the capacity to measure? Kasi iba yung on paper, meron tayong criteria. Pero does the agency have the capacity to measure?
Yeah.
Because if you have the
LGUs,
capacity to measure, you have the capacity to determine. So our next question is, do you have a list of the LGUs?
On a case-to-case basis, Your Honor, they can take a look. But I think what you're asking for is a more holistic type of determination, which is
yes.
I don't think they've done that yet, Your Honor.
Yeah. Kasi if there are, gato yung logic if there are criteria, ito yung parameters, ito yung panuntunan, and they have the capacity to measure or to determine which LGUs have the capacity, necessarily they should have a list of the LGUs who have the capacity to implement.
Well, maybe it's the right time to start with
Yes.
that kind of
Understand?
determination for a better implementation of the Mandanas Doctrine,
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Para lang ma-implement talaga yung Mandanas ruling,
kung
kailangan
wala
may
sila
listahan tayo kasi kung
Opo.
wala,
And
kung
I'm
meron
sure
tayo,
they have a list of who have done it
Yeah.
successfully in the past also, Your Honor.
kasi kung meron lang tayong listahan ng criteria and we stop there,
We'll
there's
ask them to start
Yeah.
looking at their database and who have done it successfully in the past, Your Honor, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, ito lang, parang very quickly, iran ko lang yung listahan ng mga projects na sa tingin namin, dapat ma-devolve. Ito, number 1. Yung pang overall, yung SIPAG, ang amount, 47.9 billion. Access roads and or bridges, as I mentioned. Dati ito, nasa local program talaga ito Flood mitigation structures, protecting public infrastructure facilities, 38 billion. Actually, 38.6 billion. Local in scope, pati impact, local ito. Pero nasa DPWH pa rin. Now, I'm speaking in terms of the Mandanas ruling and the NEO 138. Yun ang ating, parang doon ang premise natin. Okay. So, interjurisdictional roads and or bridges or roads that traverse multiple LGU jurisdiction, 11.8 billion. Multipurpose building or buildings, facilities to support social services, 9.6 billion. I will not introduce amendments to remove this from the DPWH, not anymore. But I'll just mention for the record na ito dapat naka-devolve. Dapat wala ito sa budget na ng DPWH.
Yes, Your Honor.
Coastal roads, causeway for environmental protection, conservation, 1.8 billion. Most of the projects listed, nakita namin listahan ito appear to be of local impact, no? Ang impact niya local lang. Access roads and or bridges from the national roads connecting to indigenous peoples communities, 253,000. Never mind, medyo maliit. Construction, improvement of access roads leading to declared, nasabi ko na ito, 16.8 billion. Yung construction, improvement of access roads leading to trades, industries, and economic zones, 9.1 billion. Yan din yan, pang-local yan. Construction, rehabilitation of water supply, septage and sewerage rainwater collections, 3.4 billion. Marami itong listahan. Anyway, I just want to put it on record na tama sana yung approach. Kaya lang, as I mentioned earlier, the practical side, parang hindi nagko-conform doon sa to comply with the Mandanas ruling and EO 138. Kasi at least man lang partial devolution may implement for next year or next year at yung full para going to the full implementation in year 2024. So, mahaba yan listahan. Ito pa isang issue, Mr. President. Yung duplication of projects under BIP and SIPAG. Magkaiba, pero magkaiba yung isang item, roads leading to strategic public buildings. Under SIPAG, 47 billion. Under BIP, 10 billion. Ba't pinaghiwalay pa natin? Pareho lang naman yung description. It's just one item, but we separated the allotments. Why?
It's a slight difference, Mr. President. Yung SIPAG daw is more towards convergence, whereas the BIP are smaller in concept and scope, Your Honor.
Yes, accepting, without granting without accepting, I should say. Roads leading to strategic public buildings, isang item isang description. Pero under SIPAG, nilagyan ng 47.9, under BIP, nilagyan ng 10.2. Dapat, iniba naman lang ng konti yung description.
Maybe we can ask them to do that, Your Honor.
Flood mitigating structures, another item, 38 billion under SIPAG, 6.3 billion under BIP. Roads that traverse multiple LGUs, 11 and 1. Multipurpose buildings, pinaghiwalay pa. Dapat isa na lang. Makikita rin naman namin yan, Ms. Cabral.
This is what the department is saying, Your Honor. Yung BIP is for smaller projects and for basic assistance to LGUs.
O sana nilagyan ng qualification na ito
And yung
roads leading to strategic public buildings. Tapos sabihin natin mas malaki scope under SIPAG. Maliit ang scope under BIP. Para lang medyo maiba ng konti. Not exactly the same description of the item or the project, pero pinaghiwalay pa. Anyway, I think I have made my point very clear, Mr. President. I have still other questions, but I will stop here to give the others their chance to ask questions. So, Sige, hindi ko na itutuloy, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman. Maraming salamat po.
I think the gentleman is tired of receiving the same answers year after year, Mr. President.
You read my mind, Mr. President.
No, but we
Thank you.
appreciate nonetheless is clearly has put in a lot of work, Your Honor, in putting together all these disaggregated items, and we always appreciate the interventions of the gentleman from Cavite. Thank you very much, Your Honor, Mr. President.